Hi everyone, and welcome to your overview video for reflection number 1. I am filming this overview video because this is the first of our larger assignments over the course of this month together, and I want to make sure that you have a very clear understanding of what my expectations are for this assignment and some of the options that you have regarding what this assignment can look like. So like I said, this is our first larger reflection. We've done an intro activity, we've done a pod post, you've commented on each other's pod posts, or you are going to tonight. And then tomorrow night is when this first reflection is due. But I wanted to give you a couple days to really sit with it and think about it and get comfortable with how you want to approach it. You'll also notice that there are less readings for today. That's going to be the case for tomorrow too, because I want you to really be focused on completing this reflection. So let's dive in. This is the first of two. Your other reflection will be next week. And I really just want you to think about approaching these reflections as a way for you to engage with, synthesize, make connections across the various texts that we've read so far in this course, which has been a lot because, as we know, this is a blitz for weeks. It's a way for you to think about larger topics, concepts, themes that can be discussed in relation to these texts. It's a way for you to track your understandings and maybe come back to these texts and how you're thinking about them and wrestling with them when you're in your own classroom. So the kind of cool thing about this, I don't know, you might find it cool. Some students think it's almost too intimidating, is that this is very unstructured in the sense that I want you to choose the medium or form that feels most useful for you in creating this reflection. So I've had students do outlining, I've had students do diagrams, I've had students do more traditional expository writing, I've had students blend visuals and text, create concept maps. Really, the options are kind of endless. And towards the end of this video, I'm going to show you some examples that maybe will inspire you, but I hope don't limit you, right? Because there's a lot that you could choose to do for this. And generally, I'm very open to your ideas as long as it meets the requirements. So, whatever form your reflections take, here is what you do need to do across these reflections. So, you need to accurately reference readings and media prior to your writing of that particular reflection and include direct quotations from these texts. So for our purposes, I'm including day 1, day 2, and day 3 readings, videos, media, etc., as the meat that you're going to draw this reflection from. So even though you do have a reading on Thursday, it's going to be very limited, and I'm not going to require you to include it within this reflection because I don't want you to feel too overwhelmed. Okay, so you're going to accurately reference those readings and media. Direct quotations are key. Okay, please include some direct quotations to these sources. Let me know that you are thinking about these deeply, that you can point back to annotations you've taken, etc. The second thing that you need to do with this reflection, and this is kind of where I see students struggle, is you need to make connections and synthesize ideas across the readings, media, discussions, etc. that you're talking about. So what I don't want is for you to just kind of reference, okay, here are the quotes that I pulled from all the readings that we did, the end, right? I want you to make connections across those readings, across those resources. This is going to help me understand how you personally are engaging with the material. And then, of course, make sure that your reflection is readable, completed with care, and includes proper in-text citations. I prefer APA, although I have had students ask if they can do MLA before. Generally, as long as you are citing the text in some way, you're good. You don't have to do a works cited page for this. We've all read the same thing, but please make sure you're including those proper in-text citations. All right, so here is what needs to be in this reflection. So you'll see this must here. Reflection number 1 must include direct quotations to the following. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 of Building Academic Language. Chapters 1 and 2 of Getting to the Core of Literacy. So those are the textbook readings we've done so far. You also need to include 2 references to any of the following supplemental material. This could be a particular literacy framework from day 1. So maybe you were really moved by Scarsborough's reading rope and you want to talk about it. Maybe you liked one of the alternative models of literacy frameworks that I gave you. You could reference Common Core State Standards and our resources on that so far. Universal Design for Learning. Backwards planning, which a lot of you have brought up already, and I think that's great because it's going to really feed into the first stage of our unit plan that we're starting over the weekend. You could reference Yazzie Martinez versus State of New Mexico, or you could reference today's work on background knowledge and prior knowledge. So, once again, you must include references to chapters 1, 2, and 3 of Building Academic Language and chapters 1 and 2 of Getting to the Core of Literacy. And then you need to include 2 references to any of the following, and that list is there. This is a 10-point activity. And you'll notice that I have a rubric that you can use and refer back to as you are working on this. So the criteria: direct quotes, specific references to course content, connections and synthesis, and readability. So we got 4 points for the first 2. Readability is 2 for a total of 10. Now, I do want to make clear that I am always open to you redoing any assignment that you get a grade on that you're not happy with. So let's say that you submit this and you get an 8 out of 10 and you look at my feedback and you're like, hey, I want to return to this and make it a little bit stronger. You absolutely can. I am not a punitive grader. I am not someone who wants you to feel that your work in this class is only evaluated by a point system or a grade, okay? I also really care about effort and growth, and that's something that is important to me at the high school level, at the college level, anywhere. So if you get this first major assignment back and you're like, I want to make it stronger, absolutely, 100% you can, okay? But as long as you do everything on this rubric, I guarantee you're going to get full credit, okay? Like I said, I am not into punitive grading. So let's talk for a few minutes about what this can look like. I mentioned that your reflection can take a lot of different forms. So I'm going to share a few examples from the last time I taught this class, which was last fall. So I'm going to pull up the first example, and I want to just make clear that all 3 of these students have given me permission to use their work as exemplars. So Everett did this first reflection here. Everett was this awesome math student that I had in this class last fall. And he is the kind of student that likes more expository or traditional writing. So what he did is he organized his ideas around particular headers. He says the need to teach reading and writing explicitly. He references many of the readings and resources under that. He talks about why the issue exists, once again, synthesizing, making connections across resources and readings. And then he finishes with how can we address the problem? And once again, continues to reference readings, resources from across the content that we had read so far. Then he has a nice little conclusion. So this is definitely more of what I would call a traditional reflection response. The other example that I have here, the second example, is a little bit different. You'll notice that this is more of a graphic organizer, a concept organizer. And so what this student starts doing here is they give us the source, the quote, and their own analysis, okay? And then at the very bottom, after they've done that, they give me a synthesis of quotes and application of analysis to current and future teaching. I thought this was a really interesting way to do this. And this is something that kind of speaks to my brain, how my brain works. I like to organize and analyze first, and then synthesize and connect after. So that might be an option that you want to jump on for this. And then finally, here's one that looks very different. So this student wrote out this kind of like almost like chaotic concept map, but if you look up here at her little key code, it's not, or color code, it's not so chaotic. So she has her main points in a certain color, her extra notes that are important in a certain color, quotes in a certain color, commentary, source, and type of source. So I thought that was really interesting. This is a really creative way of doing this too. I have also had students do things in the past like PowerPoint slides. I've had students do posters that they've taken pictures of. There's not really a right or a wrong here. So what I'm going to ask you to do for your attendance grade for today is to comment on this video with your name and with the form that you're thinking you would like your first reflection to take. So I might just say, Anne Marie, and my form that I would like this to take is expository writing because more traditional writing is how I make sense of ideas. Okay. So it doesn't need to be long, but that attendance grade is just going to come from a quick check-in, letting me know what form you're thinking you'd like this first reflection to take. And if you have a question on whether your form is okay, you can also include it in that attendance grade comment because you know if you looked at your day one that I will absolutely respond to these, okay? So hopefully that has made this reflection assignment very clear to you, or this video has made that reflection assignment very clear to you. And if it hasn't, you know that you can reach out via email. If you got to set up some office hours, let me know. We'll figure something out. All right, I'm really looking forward to engaging with these first reflections.